Hello everyone and welcome back to BPS. I hope you all are doing fine and once again welcome to BPS and just like we promised every day at 9 p.m. we are here with one thematic question to practice on the answer writing for your APSC. So since your exams are quite near, I hope you all are practicing your answer writing uh, patterns. Okay, so today's question is based on a very recent event. The events centered around the corruption of the IS officers, the corruption of the bureaucracy. So, behind my back, you can see a book, Decoding Indian Babudam. Okay, Decoding Indian Babudam. So, this book is written by Ashwini Srivastav. He's one of the famous journalist of India. And what does it mean by Babudam? So, Babudam is a term which is referred to people who are in the bureaucracy. Okay, they are referred to as a babus. So recently even the Prime Minister of India also said in Parliament that we have created a culture of babus. Okay, we have created a culture of babus. We have not created people friendly or public friendly bureaucrats, but we have only created a culture of babus who only misuse their power and who create problems in the bureaucratic functioning, and they are charged with hefty amount of corruptions and stuffs like that. So the question here is asking, how does Ashwini Srivastav propose to combat corruption in India's administrative system? So so this question is entirely based on his book. So this may not directly come in your mains, in your subject mains or in your constitution paper, but it may come as one of the essay writing questions. Okay, so corruption in India, the bureaucratic corruption in India may come as one of your essay writing. So you may include the points which are penned down by Ashwini Srivastav. So the main question is asking, how does Ashwini Srivastav propose to combat corruption in India's administrative system, and what are some of the specific measures that he suggests? Okay, why does Srivastav advocate for replacing generalist IAS with that of specialists, and what are the potential benefits of this change? Okay, so there are two parts of the question. One is how to combat the corruption in the Indian bureaucratic system. This is something which is given by him in his book, so we only need to explore the points that he has written. Next part, he is just giving arguments why we should replace specialists with that of a generalist IAS officers. Okay, so let's move on. Now the introduction part, you see who is Ashwini Srivastav. Okay, who is Ashwini Srivastav, and name of his book and a brief summary of what he wrote. So this is what is written in the introduction. Journalist Ashwini Srivastav in his book Decoding Indian Babudam compares corruption to a pandemic. So he says that it is more like a pandemic. It is going to spread because pandemic generally it spreads and kills a large number of people. So corruption is also like that. Once it starts spreading, it is going to actually take in its ambit a large number of people. It is going to affect the people. The book is unique because it looks at the problems in India's administrative system from the perspective of ordinary people. So this book is exploring the side effects of the corruption from the viewpoint of the ordinary people, how bureaucratic corruption affects the life of the ordinary people. Okay, he also discusses the harmful effects and causes of corruption in a chapter titled Ye Dil Mange More, that is the heart wants more. Okay, the Dil Mange More means the heart wants more and more corruption. So if today somebody is bribed with 1 crore rupees, and tomorrow he is going to ask even more. Okay, so this is what is called Ye Dil Mange More. So just in the recent case that you have seen, that the probationary IS officer, she was not even she was not even designated as an officer, but she was as a probationary officer. She misused her power. So this is what has been happening, because people here are mostly centered around the culture of Babu. So we have the hangover of the colonial system, and we want to experience that, and that is the main reason why people go for UPSC and stuff like that. But I'm not questioning everybody's intention, but majority of the people, they go into these systems because they want to feel the culture of the elitism. And this is exactly the rotting system what Prime Minister Narendra Modi said in the parliament, that it is a rotting system, the culture of babus, which we have been promoting all these years, and this needs to stop. And the exact same thing is also been written in the Decoding Indian Babudam book. Now, addressing key themes of the question. So, this is the main body, and the first point that he has mentioned is the digitization and governance. So, every governance has to be digitized. Now, you see the land records have been digitized, okay, even the license registration, all these things of the vehicles, these things are also digitized. Even employment registration is being digitized, even for issuance of certificates and stuffs like that, all these things are also being digitized. Why it is being digitized? Because when there is more and more digitization, then the governance, it becomes everything is being traceable. The every penny that comes to the government office is being traceable, and which money has been gone to where. Like for example, earlier I used to pay, like in the government office, if you go, they will charge around 500 per session. Like every officer will charge you around 500 to 1000 rupees to only pass your bill. So the cost of actual making of that certificate is only, let's say, 30 to 40 rupees, the cost that you have to pay as a fee to the government. But these officials, these bureaucrats will charge, let's say, 1000, 5000 from everyone, and it actually rots the system. But if the process of digitization is complete, then every penny will be counted. Like for example, for one certificate also, the charge that is being vested by the government, that you only need to pay 20 rupees as a processing fee, you will only have to pay that. You will not have to pay, or you will not have to bribe for your things to be done. Okay, so this is one solution that he has addressed here. He argues that making government service fully online would prevent corruption. So, making government services online. So, this is a point which I actually don't agree to it, because there are certain government services which you cannot say online. For example, let's say, I will give you a simple example. Just imagine a village in Assam, and you are being posted as a one of the revenue officer there. Okay, now what you will have to do is, if today the government says that you can make a inspection of the village through online, okay, you have to sit in your house and you can only make a Zoom call, and you can see the condition of the village. Now what is going to happen is that the village, somebody who is sitting in the village, might actually fraud the entire infrastructure there. He might be in a different location, but you are never going to know that which location he is. If today he is expected to be inspected by an officer online, he may go and be present in certain other infrastructure in some other place, and he might project this as the completed project. Okay, so this may become a problem, because not only the bureaucrats are corrupt, but actually the people themselves are also corrupt. So if this system goes on, if every service goes online, then this is a problem that we might face in the future. So physical contact or physical inspection of certain services is really necessary. Not all government services we can make it online. So this is a point which I don't agree with him, but still, since the question is asked from his perspective, so this is what is written here. Okay, now current government initiatives. Then what are the initiatives that the government has taken? Srivastav's book subtitled 15 Sutras for Effective Governance. So he gave 15 sutras. Sutras means the 15 methods through which we can have an effective governance. One is the Clean India Mission, aimed at cleaning office spaces. Okay, Clean India Mission. The second is the e-office, which is the digitizing government work. Now many of the government offices in in Assam and in rest of the part of India has been digitized. So not many people will need to come to office and do their work. This can be done online. Now, Mission Karma Yogi, building the capacity of the government employees. Karma Yogi means you don't have to be lazy. Now there is a tendency among the government officers or all the governments all the government servants to be extremely lazy. They don't come on time. Any day you visit any government office, you are never going to find any person on time. Everybody arrives late because they are mostly guided by the fact that they can be, they can work in a very comfortable environment. They want a very comfortable environment, but they are not ready to work for their comfortable and for the environment. And many people actually go for the government jobs because they want to exploit that culture. And they want to be and to remain extremely lazy. Because I'll give you one example here. A few years back, there was an appointment of a TET teacher in a very remote village, and the TET teacher was actually, she did not go there to teach. Instead, she hired somebody, and she belonged to a very reputed family. So she hired somebody from the village to go and make her signature there. So somebody from the village, she went and made a signature on her behalf, and then government was paying her salary as a teacher. But she never visited that school, she never visited that district. So this is the kind of corruption that people do when they are in the government service. Okay, they don't have this culture of the karma yogi. Okay, they are extremely lazy. So this is what happened. And not only in terms of the bureaucrats, but even the government servants also, they are extremely corrupted. Now, Mission Karma Yogi I have discussed. Common eligibility test is online recruitment system for government jobs. This is actually we are doing right now. That now for every government service we have a common eligibility test. Now, lateral recruitment, hiring private sector specialists for government departments. So this is called as lateral recruitment. For example, let's say there is an IT department for the government. Now you cannot expect a BA pass or an MA pass IS officer to go and take charge of an IT department. He may know little bit about IT, but he may not know the technicalities of the IT department. So you always need a specialist to head these kind of departments. But the problem is the IS officers, when they reach to the position of the secretariat, when they reach the position of the director or stuffs like that, they don't want these positions to go out of their hand, and that is why they take all these departments. But they are not well educated in that field. They are not a specialist, they are all a generalist. So in these special departments, in these special government organizations, we don't need a generalist to go and look after the government work. We need a specialist, somebody who understands the technicalities of IT. So majority of the government sectors today are actually filled with the generalist in all the specialist department. Now, need for specialist over generalist. This is the second part of the question. Replacing generalist officers with specialists who have domain knowledge can significantly reduce corruption. Okay, so if you go to any IT department, if you go to dairy farming or the dairy production department, nobody on the secretariat level or on the upper bureaucratic level, you will not find any person who has had education relevant to that field. Everybody of them have come from different department. Let's say for example today somebody from the education department will be transferred to the health, and tomorrow from the health department somebody will be transferred to the road transport. So because of this generalist thing in the entire specialist department, the departments cannot well function, and there are more and more number of corruption which crops up. Now, streamlining procedures and speeding up implementation are also crucial. Prime Minister Modi also highlighted this need to expertise in its parliament. Now, why should IAS officers run schools, board and education departments when they lack knowledge or interest in education? So see, there are many IAS officers who run school boards. For example, NCRT board, or you can say the CBSE board. These are boards, these are education boards. So why should an officer who has no interest in any kind of education is heading those departments, is heading those organizations or such institutions. So these kind of things actually promote more and more corruption. These officers often send their children to private schools and universities abroad, showing their disconnect from the public education system. So the bureaucrats themselves don't take the responsibility, they themselves don't show, they themselves don't give the light for the other people, for the common people to follow. They themselves never become the example for the common people to follow. So they are going to do everything about the public sector education, but they themselves will send their children to the private sector. So why they do this? Because they themselves know that the public education system is not so well equipped with everything to provide their children with better education. So why this is not happening? Because somebody who is a generalist, who has no interest in the education sector, is sitting as an officer in the education department. Now there is a joke that even honest IAS officers would do anything to get their children into prestigious universities like Harvard. Now similarly, an IAS officer who dislikes livestock shouldn't run a dairy department like Saras Dairy. So this is a joke. This is actually an example that was mentioned in the book, like somebody who is not interested in the dairy department is very correct, because if I am not interested in dairy production, if I am not interested in fishing culture, I should not be placed in those kind of department, because since I don't have any interest, I will not do anything to improve that department. I will not do anything to stop corruption or do anything to promote effective governance in the system. So this should not be the case. The point is simple. Departments should be run by people who have expertise in those areas and not by people who frequently switch roles without sufficient knowledge. So today you will see somebody who is sitting in the education department is not liking his job. So tomorrow he'll take a transfer to the health sector, and in the health sector also he feels like this is way too much of work. He'll go and sit in the dairy sector. In the dairy sector also, if he felt like no, this is something I just don't like, or I'm not able to vibe it properly, he'll go and shift himself in the road transport department. So this has been happening over the years and years. So this is the culture of the Babudam that the article or the author was trying to mention, that this is the culture of Babudam. Okay, we are more into that culture of, like, the elitist privilege, but we are not here. We don't consider ourselves as a servants of the public. We don't do much to initiate effective administration or initiate effective governance in our country. Now in the concluding part, in summary, Srivastav's book highlights the deep-rooted issue of corruption in India's administrative system and suggests digitization and bringing in specialists as effective solutions. Implementing these measures can significantly improve governance and reduce corruption, ensuring that government services are more accessible and efficient for all citizens. So the government's job is to make people believe that you can trust a government, but because bureaucrats themselves are so corrupted that people don't have interest in the public sectors to do their jobs. Okay, people don't trust the public sector anymore. People don't want to go to the offices and do these kind of things, because if tomorrow government will say that you need to make a card, you need to make a ration card, then when poor people will go to make ration card, then there will be a lot of people waiting to feed on them. Okay, there will be a lot of corrupted officials who will charge money from them in lieu of making them the ration card. So these are the kind of things which has been happening in our Indian administrative system. So this is what the author tried to tell, that we need to shift our perspective. We need to shift our Indian administrative service from the generalist perspective to a specialist perspective. We need special people who are actually specialized in that sector. We need people from there, because somebody who is not interested in the dairy production is going and sitting as the head of the dairy cooperative society, then he is not going to do anything for improvement in the governance of that particular sector. So this is more or less the answer that has been written around the book Decoding Indian Babudam. Okay, so if you have any questions, please do write it down in our comment section, and all the best for your answer writing, and hope that you all will score very good marks in your APSC mains. Okay, and all the best.